welcome back.
Yay! I can't believe
It's great to be here.
To be with my best girlfriends again. Feels like it's been a long time.
I know, everything that the Lord's been
There's
doing.
a lot that's happened in the last couple of months.
Yeah. I don't know. We're probably going to have to record all night long. So get comfortable and get some popcorn.
Get some coffee if you need it.
So by way of catching up, Tricia, you did an exercise that just really has impacted Snow and I, and you have a really great story to tell about that. It has to do with silence, and let's just dive right in there. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I think I've mentioned before, I go to a Thursday group with some friends, and we've been working through a series of books. And so every week we kind of focus on a narrative of the world, and then kind of we look at the flip side. We look at the narrative of Jesus about it. And this particular week, it was actually about lying, truth-telling, and anyway, but the activity we were supposed to focus on was 24 hours of silence.
Not easy for any one of us, I'm sure.
Nope.
I've never done it, actually.
I haven't either. Well, I did once because I had a procedure on my vocal cord, so I had to be silent for a while. But I did not know Jesus at the time, so I'd rather hear your revelation.
Well, I'm the wordiest person I know. I always say that. And so it was, I don't know, something about it I was up for the challenge. I'm like, I'm going to do this thing.
Yeah.
And so I came home and I told my husband about it, and I told my kids about it, and I said, one day this week, Mom's going to have to be silent for 24 hours. And I guess it's, the whole idea is that, well, if you're silent, you can't lie. You can't stretch the truth. You can't lie by omission. You just silence.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I thought, okay, well, we're just going to do it. And so we planned on a Monday. Everybody it was a holiday, so the kids were going to be at home.
I was happy to get a warning text.
Me too. You sent us a text. You're like, by the way, this is my last communication for 24 hours.
I know.
Because I
Very
wasn't
scary
allowed.
for me.
I wasn't allowed.
Or
Even
email
texting
or anything like that.
anything.
Okay.
Exactly. If I had an outgoing message, it was handwritten, and it was the idea is to be with the people that you're with as well. Physically,
Nice.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I could read, and if somebody sent me a message, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't. It'll have to wait for 24 hours. But anyway, we did it on a Monday, and Jason was home, and so he knew to field all the things, and it was quite interesting. I tried to have as much done as I possibly could, and around 5 p.m. I think is when I started it. So I went from 5 p.m. on Monday to 5 p.m. on Tuesday. I think is how it went, and it was very, very powerful. But immediately, so I have whole notes, lots of notes written about it, because it was probably the single most revolutionary thing or exercise that I've ever done. We always talk about just, fasting and praying, which is so amazing, but God gives us so many more tools that we can use to, to enhance that relationship, that intimacy with the Lord. And God taught me a lot about that. One of the things that I was really immediately became apparent to me is that I had everyone's undivided attention.
While you were
Crazy.
silent.
Yeah.
Because weren't you scared that people are just gonna you're gonna become invisible when you don't have your voice? That all of a sudden
I did. I had to, it was one of my hesitations going into it. And I think one of the things that I actually prayed about as I was before I started it, was that I asked the Lord, I am afraid that I won't be able to defend myself. How will I keep order? How will I keep order, and how will I defend myself?
That's interesting.
And so I was I thought about them. I don't know why I really prayed about that, but anyway, so just in faith went through with the exercise, and almost immediately, one of the first things I really enjoyed was that I had some freedom to actually go internal and just be at peace and just talk to the Lord in a way. And life was going on around me, and the order that I was afraid of, not being able to keep order within. There's 7 people in our house, so it's really busy and
place.
lots of order.
Noise.
And there's a lot of disorder in that. So I was really surprised, like I said. First of all, just the peace I felt on the inside, and also the attention that, I had everyone's undivided attention. I don't know if the kids were just specifically waiting for me to mess up.
They wanted to be you just said something.
They did. Oh no, well, they tried to, They're like, oh, you can't say anything. It was great. It was a little bit amusing. But anyway, what I noticed about that, though, was that I think one of the first things the Lord really started to teach me is that talk is cheap. Mm. And what I mean by, and I know we've heard that saying before, but I really felt it. I feel like the Lord in there was really talking about, there's communication and speech are two different things.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, speech can be part of communication, but it's not solely.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think I was really able to hone in on, the Lord has given me other tools in which to communicate with my people at home that I've never been employing, because talking is easier. Talking allows me to multitask, to do this other thing, to pretend like I'm paying attention to what's really going on and not really. And all the kids know. My husband knows when I'm really not
paying attention.
And I don't intentionally. I'm not. Sometimes it's not intentional. It's just I'm not all there.
Right.
I can't do both of those things well. So anyway, that was one of those revelations. I saw. I like the way you worded it for me once, because we talked about this a little bit before, but I saw my children start going into conflict, and where I would normally step in and, okay, calm down, what happened, and try to, referee.
Yeah.
I just stood, just my presence alone was enough to give them to create a safe space for them, to actually them individually go at it, but they were my silence allowed them to tap into their own voice. And it was so funny to watch this altercation between my two boys. I'd pointed, for Sam to go out and go get the mail, and Ben came right behind him and slammed the door, and so he was offended by that anyways, and he blurted out some, I don't know, he blurted out something that was just said really ugly to his brother, and which made the other brother angry. Bleh. And I just stood up and I just watched them. And I could hear Sam going, he was thinking. And then he breathed. And then he said, I know what you're going to tell me. And I was like,
I can hear it in my mind what Mom would say.
I think it was Holy Spirit.
Yeah, that's right.
I really think it was Holy Spirit speaking to him, because he goes,
well, it wasn't you.
Because it wasn't me. It wasn't me. And it was just really powerful, because I saw what normally would, if I'm refereeing, one starts and it just kind of sometimes more escalates until I just separate them and forget it. We'll try to, maybe we'll get this resolved at another time. I watched the two of them resolve that on their own, and it did not escalate. So that was really powerful to me.
They've got it in them. Holy
I know,
Spirit.
Exactly. Yeah. They've got it in them, and I don't know. There is something very powerful in that, and I don't know. I want to delve into that more. I'm practicing that more. I do sense the Holy Spirit even now, even though I've not done another 24-hour silence. I have been employing the power of silence and letting Holy Spirit speak to my kids and my husband too. Yeah. And so that's been really cool.
It's almost like giving space, giving Holy Spirit space to communicate. Yeah. Where we might think we have the speech to say what needs to be said.
Yes.
When really Holy Spirit wants to communicate. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I had another thing that was really cool too. I'm an extrovert, I think, by nature.
Really? I'm not sure I had you pegged that way, but
she's so different on video than went behind the scenes.
But I will say, here's something crazy, is that life in Christ has really showed me some other things about myself that I didn't know. I am an extrovert. That is the way He created me. I do draw energy from being with people. But I also have this other side that I think in my past life I'd neglected, that there are introverted tendencies where I just crave time by myself with the Lord. I mean, if I don't have it, I'm just angry. I'm just angry. So anyway, I've had this idea for a long time that I want to go away. I want to go to this monastery in northern Kentucky, somewhere, actually Bardstown, Kentucky. Anyway, I've been wanting to go there because the idea of 4 days of silence, 4 days of, just tranquility just seems like heaven. But here's the other thing, you guys, that I'm wanting to explore more, because that 24 hours of silence, I actually felt the stillness that I've actually been craving. I think sometimes I want everything else to just slow down on the outside, and that's what's got me all like revved up and
Yes.
And yet I feel like the Lord also showing me, like, it doesn't have to be like that. The moment when I'm quiet, everything else, like physically and internally, also dies down. So it's really powerful, and I can't recommend doing that enough. Practicing that some more. I have a whole lot of other things to say, but I think I'm going to save some of those things for my right now life.
That's
but
awesome.
I would like to hear your thoughts on that, though.
Yeah.
Like, have you?
Well, what you're saying is actually, I've got two different thoughts. One is total confirmation to me. When I was away out of the country for 10 days. So the first thing I want to say before I get to that real quick is my roommate during that mission trip had encouraged me specifically, and it just now came back to me as you were sharing.
Yeah.
And this has been 2 months ago now since I was there. Specifically in praying for my adult children. All 3 of my kids are over the age of 18 or over. And we had been talking about not telling our kids what to do. Okay, since they're not young kids anymore, and it's like
They don't want you to.
or
They want you to.
They don't want to hear it either, but they have no choice. Now, when they're 18 and 20 and 23, they're just like, really things, you're really praying about what do I say, what don't I say, when do I intervene and interfere, and when don't I?
Right.
And basically, she was encouraging me, like, just don't.
Yeah.
Like, pray for them and then let the Holy Spirit speak to them. And it's just really crazy because you're confirming that in me, and I've been doing a lot of that, a whole lot differently than before the trip, in being very specific about how to parent adult children as opposed to smaller children. And I've just seen places where I would have stepped in with a whole lot of words, and a whole lot of wise counsel that would have been unsolicited. And I have seen them be guided by the Holy Spirit and making right choices and making decisions that I have just stood back and been like, I was praying about just that thing just this morning, and I didn't say a word, and not in a manipulative way. I'm talking about
just
praying
space for Holy Spirit to do his job.
Work, exactly, which was so much more lasting than anything I could ever do anyway.
Right.
And then
because for them, they also realize, like, that came from within.
That's right. That was a decision that they bent their will to, that they surrendered to. And it wasn't because mom said so. It's just so much more powerful. And I have to think that Sam and Ben experienced that in de-escalating a situation on their own. There had to be, even if they don't realize it overtly, there had to be some self-realization of like, mom
or
didn't
to
have
even
to do that.
do the opposite of what mom or dad says. It takes that off the table too.
Yeah.
Even
it's
though
true.
I was going to do that, now that you said that I should do that, I think I'll do the
this.
opposite.
Yes, exactly. So
Which I
there's not
swear that
either.
happens a lot.
I think I've done that before.
I only say that because memory serves me right. That's how I was.
It really feels so like it takes a lot of pressure off of me as a parent as well to not try to act as assistant Holy Spirit for my kids. That I can trust that God, Holy Spirit in them will also communicate to them. And what would happen if I just let that process happen more often instead of trying to get in there and fix it.
I feel like there's more that can be said on this topic. I know that you have some things to share, and I can share. Why don't we break and do a silence part 2? What do you think?
Amen.
Let's do it.
Yes.
All right. You want to pray us out, Tricia?
Yes.
Awesome.
All right. Father, thank you so much for Lord, this time together with these sisters, Lord, and with our friends out there, Lord, that are have tuned in with us, Lord. Father, I just thank you for your Holy Spirit. I thank you for your voice inside of us, Lord. Father, help us to be still and to learn the practice of silence, Lord, so that we may be fine-tuned, Lord, to be in the frequency of you, Lord, of your voice. above all the competing noises, Lord. Thank you for this time. Thank you for your sweet presence, Lord, and the revelation that happens when we gather and when we just sit and listen. In Jesus' name.
In Jesus'
Amen.
name, amen.